Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Juliette Kulda of Keller Williams Peninsula Estates based out of Burlingame, California. Juliette has been a California licensed realtor since 2013, working in the San Francisco Bay Area. She joined Keller Williams Peninsula Estates in Burlingame in January 2014 and works out of the Keller Williams Half Moon Bay Coastside Satellite Office. She is ranked as the number 5 Keller Williams International Individual Agent and was voted the number 1 favorite realtor by the Half Moon Bay Review newspaper's Reader's Choice Award. She was on HGTV's House Hunters show in 2013 and was recently featured in an article on Alatias for her website. All right, with all that said, Juliette, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello, Keith, and happy to be on your show.
And Juliette, I guess if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
You know, Keith, I don't think I ever said, I want to grow up and be a real estate agent. But looking back, as a little girl, I know I loved looking at real estate magazines and ads, and my parents were always buying properties and either building a house or fixing one up and decorating it, and they'd usually keep them for the family, and we'd get to enjoy them. So I think I always had an interest in real estate. And then in the year 2000, I was helping my husband. He's a general contractor, and he's building houses here on the coast side where I work. And I was helping him by finding a vacant lot, and I'd get the building permit and help pick out the tile. And then when we sold our first spec house, and the real estate agent came in and sold it in 2 weeks, I think that's what got my attention, and that's what inspired me to go get my real estate license.
And I guess, kind of on top of that, what personal attributes, traits, or qualities do you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
Well, I already mentioned my parents. I was raised in a large family. There are 9 of us all together, and my mom and dad. My dad's, first of all, a Lebanese entrepreneur type, and he always had, different businesses he and my mom were putting together, and I think the first thing would be a strong work ethic that we were kind of given. And 10 years old, I was working in one of the family restaurants running the cash register. I think also certain skills were ingrained in me from just being in a large family and learning to deal with all the different types of personalities. And my dad would always say, Juliette, business has more to do with people than it does business. So I think a lot of just being around a big family and different types of personalities has been helpful. And then one kind of fun memory I have is my dad, when I was probably 8 or 9, he sent me in to pay my dog's vet bill, and he waited in the car and he had me go in and negotiate the vet bill in sandwiches from our family restaurant. So I had to go in and talk the vet into, instead of taking cash, we'll pay him in sandwiches. And it wasn't until later I realized my dad was really teaching me how to negotiate.
That must have been quite the negotiation power to be able to to turn a vet bill into how many sandwiches would it take in order to take care of this deal. So that's fair. But
I sat in the car for a little while before I went in. He said, "You can do this. You can." It was, looking back, he probably just was thinking on, obviously it was good for him, but it was very good for me too to learn all the different, to be able to get out there and be bold enough for one, but also to kind of be creative, I think.
Excellent. Well, Juliette, do you think you could give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path towards success?
It's kind of a tough one, an example. I guess I'd have to start by saying I did follow in my parents' footsteps. And Keith, have I told you that I have 10 children?
No, you didn't. Wow, that's 10 kids, and that's what ages are they?
Well, they're 22 down to 1, and actually the first 2 are going into getting their real estate license. That's been really neat. But as far as, where these traits that I have, that I believe I grew up with, have played in my success, I believe a lot of it's come from having a big family in a small town, because selling real estate, it's a lot to do with people, and we're involved in several different circles with schools and sports activities and church and gym and community events and things like that. And most of my business, I found, has come from grocery store aisles and football fields. But as far as using those skills in my business, I kind of think when I'm negotiating bedtime or maybe settling a dispute between one kid ate more dessert than another kid, it requires similar negotiating skills to even keeping a multi-million-dollar contract together. And there's been times where, there was a recent one where it was almost a $3 million listing, and just keeping that transaction together had its challenges. And a lot of times it was just those negotiating skills of kind of helping people push through maybe some emotional things, or push through, the big picture and seeing the other side, and that's what would keep it together. So I think those skills that I've, sort of acquired by having a family and working with different personalities and things like that, keeping peace in the house, has been able to actually help me in success in my business.
Yeah, wow, and I imagine that having a family with 10 kids, and then having this business, which obviously being in real estate is not a simple a couple hours here and there, but full time, and you're always on the go. So I imagine there's some adversities and trials along the way, trying to balance the family life with the business life. So can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities and trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
Oh, absolutely. So initially, I, first became an agent. Remember, I'm at that time, I'm an at-home mom. I have a couple little kids in tow, and the other kids are in school. And I was working along with my husband in his business as a general contractor, just sort of helping with things I could do from home, or take the kids to the county to get a building permit. Well, then when I realized it was the right thing, we thought a lot about it, about me getting my real estate license. I thought initially it would just be a part-time job that I could just help in his houses, and my brother-in-laws were also contractors, and so I knew I had some immediate business going into it. But of course, the challenge I knew would be, not letting things go at home and all of that. And so I think one challenge is just being able to find the right talent to help you, not just in the office, but at home. So that was a big part to get I found an amazing nanny that stayed with us for 9 years. So that was wonderful to have, be able to get through some of that with help, but also meeting the client's needs. So I immediately thought, I'll just work 2 days a week and work from home the other days. But I realized pretty quickly to be a great real estate agent, you need to be in the front lines. You need to stay focused on what's going on out there. So in order to keep up my standards in business and be able to take on more clients, I knew there would be some balancing, and there's only so many hours in the day. So I guess my major trial or adversity would be being able to not say no to business, but at the same time keep the balance, like you said.
Excellent. Well, Juliette, obviously, I think it could be a little trying, trying to balance the home life, having your 10 kids, and then balancing the business side of things. So, what kept you going despite having these obstacles on a personal front, on a business front? Why didn't you give up? What's your driving force?
So we didn't give up because we couldn't really give up. In the year when the market started turning, the year 2008 and 2009 were pretty tough for construction. And it was good at that time. We realized that I had my real estate license, because that's what we realized was going to keep us going through the hard times. So we started focusing our business more toward real estate sales. And those first 11 years were great. I was with Coldwell Banker. It's a good office. Love everybody there. But as far as, I think an obstacle I was having was I had one assistant, and we were working really long hours, and I felt that I was hitting a ceiling as far as where to go from there. I didn't want to turn away business. I didn't want to spend too much time from home and all of that. So 2.5 years ago, I joined Keller Williams Realty, and that was inspired by a book that Gary Keller wrote. And when I read it, someone handed me a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I didn't have much time to read, so I remember reading it in the middle of the night. And it was a book written about proven models and systems of top producing agents. And it just lays the path for excellence and being the best you can be and all of that. So I think what has really helped me to not give up is to have joined Keller Williams, the training they provide. I think the best decision that I made was to hire a business coach, and I'm coaching with Mark Loeffler the last 2 years. He's a Keller Williams MAPS coach, and my husband Derek is also on all of our calls, and he is the one that helps through the business operations as far as guiding on track to grow our business and to treat our business more like a business, and with the proven models and systems and tools that we can implement to be able to keep up the standards, but also leverage and all of those different things.
Excellent. And I guess kind of looking forward, what's your vision for your career and your business over the next 5 years?
Currently, my team has 10% of our market share in the community. Last year, we became the #1 real estate team, both in listings and buyer sales. My goal over the next 5 years is to continue to be the #1 real estate team of choice on the Half Moon Bay Coast side. I would love to help even more people achieve their real estate dreams, and we're able to provide a service, with concierge service and things like that to basically a service of excellence in helping them achieve dreams. And so as far as the next 5 years, I want to just continue to be the best we can be. I also look forward to finding ways to help build up our community. We're planning to start a Kulda real estate charity that will focus on giving back to our schools and churches and local community events. And eventually I believe we'll expand into other areas, and I know I can't do this alone, so I'll be looking for talented people to expand our team.
Excellent. And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself, I guess, and your team as real estate professionals so that you can have continual growth? Well,
we have two main focuses right now, and this is based on analyzing my numbers from 2015. I realized 47%, so almost 50% of my business last year came from past clients and referrals. So I realized I need to focus on organizing my database and keeping in touch with my sphere of influence. And that is one mistake I've made. From the beginning, I never really organized a database. So, I enjoy hosting events and client parties, but I worry about forgetting people because my database is a mess. So that's one thing we're doing right now is as far as marketing more just to our database, keeping in touch with people and stuff like that, and being more organized. So that's, I think, one big focus. And secondly, 40% of my business last year came from advertising and sign calls from my listings. So I make a point to stay out in front of the public by advertising in the local paper, the Homes and Land, and I'm currently setting up a new website that would even allow for generating leads from search engines and things like that.
Excellent. And Juliette, I think sometimes when it comes to real estate agents that the public has a certain perception of what they do and what they bring to the table. I don't think sometimes they fully understand everything that you do, either from a buyer or a seller standpoint. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent?
A great question. I think it's probably that people think that we, the agents, make the market, and that we are the ones that are responsible if the house does not sell. And I just think that's a misconception, and I'll need to explain this. So there are certain things we can control, and it's our responsibility to be the best consultant to our clients, and that means looking out for their best interests, helping them understand the current real estate market. But we do not make the market, we interpret it. So there are things we can control as a real estate agent, like price, how well the house is prepared and presented. We can have excellent marketing and a quick response to the leads. However, there are elements that are out of our control. And just last night, one of my sellers told me the bottom line that he's going to get for his house and that he expects me to get. And I explained that the real estate market is a living, breathing thing, and it is constantly in flux. And it's affected by many things, jobs, consumer confidence, sometimes even weather. So the inventory is also constantly changing. Things are going pending. There could be 4 houses that hit his street the day we go on the market, and that will affect how a buyer will then negotiate. So we're looking at what's going on in the market today, but also where the trends are going. And we do price accordingly to the market, and we expect to get that price, but we need to be mindful of how the market works and that we are prepared to work through that together. So I think, just in summary, a misconception people might have with the agent is they want to maybe blame the agent their house didn't sell, when sometimes it could be something out of our control. So that would be something I would want to mention.
And Juliette, let's say you get a call from a family member or friend, and they're in another state, and they want to sell their home. Now, obviously, being with Keller Williams and one of the biggest agencies out there, based and also your experience, you could probably easily look up an agent and do a referral. But from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned referral, because the first thing I would say is I'm involved in a big, large network with Keller Williams and can definitely help assist by referring and asking the right questions and finding a good agent in their local area. And sometimes that might mean finding them 2 or 3 to talk to. And I think the most important thing is that they find somebody that they can meet face-to-face. I think it's a good idea to interview 2 or 3 agents and get a feel of, how they market, make sure they have a marketing plan and that they know the local area and they specialize in the type of property that this person is either buying or selling.
Now, obviously, you're based out of the Burlingame, California, the Half Moon Bay Coast area. So if somebody's looking for real estate services in that general area or an agent, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Keith, thank you for asking. The best way would be to go to my website, and that's kuldagroup.com, and I'll spell that. It's KULD like David, A like Apple, group.com, or just search my name, Juliette, Juliette, Kulda, and my info will come right up.
Excellent. Well, Juliette, obviously want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all of your professional real estate experience with all of our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about Juliette, you can go to her website, like she said. Also, below this interview, we'll have a link to her site and any other contact information we have so that you can find out how she can help you. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.